up, everybody? And we're back, and we are diving into more of the relationship topics in part 2
Morning
of this episode.
I feel like Pastor Mike Todd, relationship goals.
I'm glad you said Mike Todd instead of Okay, as long as you knew where I was going with that, thanks. Proud of you. Good job.
And we're back.
Some help. All right, so in the last episode, hopefully you guys watched. You should be watching. We discussed a little bit about our roads to where we are now, in terms of relationships or the willingness to be open to said relationships, or just being in the streets all together and single and ready to mingle. But there were some things said that I think we would be remiss not to unpack in this episode. Starting with something Steven said in the last episode about how he had modeled this idea of relationships and what he wanted a relationship to look like, what he didn't want a relationship to look like, I think, more importantly, based off his parents and that dynamic in the household growing up. So I want to open this up to everybody, but I'm going to start with Steve. In terms of being younger to now and having the experience that you have had throughout all your relationships and how they've gone, what is something that maybe sometimes is a burden for you in going into your relationships thinking of, this is like, I don't want to do this, or I can't be like this? How does that affect you?
I think my approach now, or what it was one that was just, my biggest fear was having my vulnerability taken advantage of. And it was just extremely interesting because I was never scared of vulnerability. Like, I always admitted to being an open book, and I didn't have a problem with being an open book. I didn't have a problem being the leader in terms of feeling emotions, wanting to establish something. That wasn't something I cared about as much as it was. I just wanted somebody to always be honest with me and just be real. Like, I'd much rather you just say you're not interested, or much rather you just be clear when you're uninterested or something is moving in a way that you don't like, than to try to make it seem like I'm easily disposable. That was the thing for me. That was probably the biggest burden I carried in, because it didn't become a fear till it was like, I don't know, like, I can't control that, and I don't know how to go in and still be open to allow something to happen without being closed off because of that fear. So it reverted to a lot of also me being very stubborn in how I operate and how I want things to look, because it got to a point where, okay, clearly I have to be this way. I hate being that way to some degree, and I don't have to be that way now, but that was just a huge burden in terms of like the actual dating process. But like within my relationship now, I don't think I carried that burden. I think the burden I carried was understanding that being the one that's experienced more relationships and being the one that has a more complete vision for the future. Like, she wants us to be together, or wanted us to be together, and saw a future for us, but it was kind of based in the idea that, like, okay, well, like, we clearly like each other, like, you make me feel this way, we gonna be together. And I'm a person that's like, we gonna be together, but how are we gonna be successful? So it's like, we can be together, and that can be great. We can have a title forever. But like, if we are the same two people individually and the same couple in a year or 5, what has the relationship done? Like, if we not helping each other grow, like building each other, like being open and being transparent in the midst of both of us being in transitional times, it'd be a stretch to call it pointless, but it's kind of like we not really benefiting from it the way that we should, if we are calling, the relationship what it is, or looking at it as a stepping stone to the next level. So that's probably the biggest burden I carried in the midst of dating, and then the biggest burden I carried into my relationship now.
And so do you think, now being over a year in, to this relationship, has it been easier to let that burden go? Or have you seen places where you can put that heaviness down and she's able to support and,
I think it was about me accepting what that looks like for her. That was the big challenge. So it wasn't easy at all. But a lot of it was me having to understand that there is a balance between not sacrificing how I operate and what I want, and being very understanding to how she operates and what she wants, and the fact that it may look differently. And what do I like? What can I really live with, and what can I live with? And a lot of things come down to the fact that if she does something that, I don't necessarily agree with, or she thinks a certain way that I don't think, it's not a lot that we disagree on, but we do think about a lot differently. We approach a lot differently. Mm-hmm. But it's also gotten to the point where I'm extremely confident in actual relationships. Situationships are different, obviously.
Which is fair.
But actual relationships, I'm extremely confident, mainly because I know what I bring to the table. And it's not to say like I don't know if I'm
that guy.
I'm that guy. Like I may not be that guy like for everybody, but like if I'm in a relationship, like I'm that guy, and not from the level of I'll get you this or I'll do A, B, and C, but like what I feel like a man should be in terms of support, in terms of like helping you, like being something steady for you. I feel like your relationship should be that, and I feel like as a man you should definitely be that. So why are you
so one would argue that you
it's
are
hard smiling again.
One would argue that you are, dare I say, qualified.
Oh.
Is that what you were
check out Qualified TV on YouTube if you haven't already, y'all.
Thank you.
You need to get paid for these.
Thank you for the plug.
It's crazy because you say that to that portion of you being comfortable and you knowing that you are essentially that guy or a good partner. But I know a lot of other men that are like good guys. We all know him, like people that are good guys and they do everything that they're supposed to for their partner and they still be left in the dirt just because. Yeah, and it's kind of sucks. So that's people. That's what people kind of. We're like. Woo! That's what people. That's what people are afraid to be transparent and they're afraid to. Open up.
I can't afford not to be transparent. Mm-hmm. That's the level I've reached. Mm-hmm. Me not being transparent does nothing for me, and it does nothing for you. So there's no point in me not being upfront. Like if we disagree, we should be able to talk about it and figure out whether it's something we're gonna agree to disagree on, or whether we can find common ground. If I gotta hold back,
that's true.
For the sake of
your feelings,
or for the sake of my sanity, that's pointless.
Conflict resolution is very important in relationships of all kinds. But if we're talking about intimate part of relationships, conflict, people want to stray away from it, but like you need to have that, because if not, y'all are just twins. You've cloned yourself and now you're dating yourself. And who wants to do that? I definitely don't. You need that conflict resolution to kind of bring y'all closer together. But I don't know if I am now, because I would have to be thrown into to test
where we're going.
But I will at least say the opposite of you, that I was not confident in relationships.
And why?
I would be more confident in situationships, because to me, who cares about them? They're never really going anywhere. Like for me, again, therapy, I statements. I did not see them going anywhere.
Okay, so fair to say, you were confident in temporary things because you knew they had an expiration date, but you weren't confident in things that you necessarily had to put energy, effort, and time to build and grow.
Oh, for sure. Scared the dog piss out of me.
Like why?
Because I'm a person that is usually in control or leads, or even if a situation presents itself to where somebody else thinks they are leading, I have crafted that scenario to appear
this man is
right. I've been working on myself.
I'm taking notes now.
I'm working on myself. Okay,
this is very toxic.
I'm
now bringing out.
But no. It wasn't even necessarily in a negative, manipulative way. I guess it is still manipulative, but it just. I had to always make sure that I had control in something, because for me, losing control is very uneasy. I'm organized, I'm structured, I have things together, because even though I can't like predict the future and what's gonna happen, like I like to position, I like to
That look like Wendy, but it's fine.
I like to position myself to be in this gonna sound bad, a position of power.
No, that's real though.
I mean, that's...
Do you need that? Do you feel like you need that?
I don't think. Oh wow, I don't know.
Not twice.
I don't know that I need it necessarily.
Some people really do.
Some people do need the.
I don't think that I need it anymore, and I think because I have thrown myself into my work, like that's what I do for a living. I make decisions every day. I got to make them on the spot, and you got to be in charge of 30 other people at all times. You know, so it is nice to not make a decision. So I can be a backseat boyfriend, not a half-ass boyfriend. But I could be
difference.
Right. There is very much a difference. I'm cool being a backseat boyfriend. I still take initiative and stuff like that, but like I don't think that I need that control as much as I used to want it in the past. Because to not have that scared me. But
so
emotions.
Was that a scary thing? Was not having control scary because you didn't have control of other things in your life at the time, or just because you were raised like being the younger sibling, you know? Not having that control in your life, stuff like that.
I apologize if this sounds like therapy. But
Where's my favorite side?
Where's your tissue?
No,
Therapy helped me. So
my mother raised my sister and I to be independent. And while we do work as a team and an amazing unit as a family, we were raised to be independent. My parents were together until I was 13, and then they split. Not putting my mom business out there, but she ain't seeing nobody right now. You know, my sister was with somebody for a while and is currently not seeing anybody right now. My aunts and uncles and even my grandparents, they were married, but growing up, they slept in separate rooms. So like I think I've always subconsciously seen this like individuality and this separatism and things like that, and you never really saw like, it sounds like therapy, this warm, fuzzy family unit. But like, I know love. Yeah. I've just always seen people single or like debatably involved with somebody. So once I got into that, it was cool. And it was just a cycle that I stayed in until I was most recently in adult life with my ex-girlfriend, which was the, first
Go on.
I'm so sorry.
He had to think about it. He had to rewind.
I won't say what I was about to say.
had to do a quick.
No, I will. It's
quick.
This is the panel. This is real. That was the first time that I had a relationship and sex at the same time. I've had them separately. I've either been in a relationship or I've had sex. I never had those together. So for the first time, it was just like, ooh, an eye-opening experience. And then you fast forward
is this love?
You fast forward to my situationship a couple years later, like I also had decided to be celibate. Or no, I lied. Abstinent for a year. The whole time that we were involved with each other.
That's a lot.
Yeah. At least you caught yourself.
He caught himself, yeah. That's amazing actually to bring that into perspective though, for sure. The independence part of like, I think that's also why you think like really, you never really seeked anything for real. Because you just felt fine with yourself.
Yeah, I think, and not to sound lazy, but I think what's for me is for me, and
that's not lazy enough.
And people present themselves to me. I don't think I'm some like.
What's for me is for me.
I'm not Prince Akeem or nothing, like. But I think what's for me is for me. Whoever is there that we like each other, that we just kind of drawn to each other when that time comes. It worked with my ex-girlfriend. It worked with the situation that I had, and we didn't work out. And hey,
It's some real shit right there.
Moral of the story is don't date niggas younger than you.
Yeah, dang. That's crazy because everybody that I dated,
everybody
in college, they were older than me.
Yeah, we know. No side. He was pulling older women. We get it.
No, that's hella real. I also only date older, so that's real.
That's kind of funny because something I vividly remember, like being in high school, is that it was always frowned upon for men to date younger, and a lot of women always thought men dated younger for power and for control, which I never really got, because then as women, when you're dating somebody 2 years older, it ain't that the same thing technically. That's not the point. The point is,
all right, we're starting to get into Nelson's egg territory.
So they watch my ovaries, right?
We're getting there again.
No, but I think the idea of power and what society has said that's supposed to look like, And on top of that, more recently, what social media makes that seem like has played a huge role in what people expect relationships to look like. And oftentimes they want a relationship because it is trendy or it looks cool, or they think that they're supposed to get this feeling from it and they barely know the person, as opposed to letting it happen genuinely, or just understanding that you may need to be in your own season right now.
The thing about that is that your own season, period. This is crazy because somebody had told me like, oh, like, yeah, like, I'm so sorry to see you guys end my last relationship. Like, see you guys end, like, yada, yada, yada. You guys were goals and this and that, and like, yeah, y'all shaking like
pressure
to Bali, and then I'm like, damn, you didn't know us. Like, we were goals. We took a trip. That's it.
But is that pressure though? Because you see that happen with a lot of couples, especially that a lot of people know, like, whether you just look good together as a couple, whether y'all were just both very popular people and got together, it's very easy for people to become goals nowadays.
Yeah.
And as somebody who was in a couple that was seen as goals, was that pressure? Like, or how was that pressure?
I feel like it wasn't pressure to me because it was only pressure. Like, a lot of times she would say like, why do you care what other people think? And I'll be like, honestly, when I'm telling you what other people think, it's my mother. Like, that's the honest question. Like honestly, I'll be like, I'm so serious. I'll be like, well, whatever. I'll say some shit like that, and in my head, I'll be like, my mom. Because if my mom don't like you, I'm sorry.
Period.
But
period.
Yeah.
But really, the rest of everybody else's stuff was not really pressure to me. Really don't try to conform or confirm to what other people think, and that's a problem with society. Like you said, like, just because two people might be very well-known people, or they might be doing these trips on social media, or they might be doing X, Y, and Z, people always feel like, oh my gosh, this relationship goals, and and they don't know a thing about what's going on.
Everybody's goals are respectfully too damn basic.
No,
oh my God. The bar love.
Oh my God, they eat
The bars
burgers
in hell.
No, they be like, oh, they eat burgers and sweet potato fries together. Goals.
Oh, girl,
like,
she rode in the passenger seat.
I opened the door for somebody one time, and it was like, she was tweeting, I love it here. And my friends was sending me tweets like, bro, what did you do to her? I'm like, bro, I said, bro, let me open the door and pay for dinner. That's it. Yes.
The bar.
Yes.
No, but I think
the bar is,
that was it.
The bar's in Hades.
The bar's in hell.
No, literally, truly. Do you all have any of you all been hit with the phrase or the sentiment that being with you feels too good to be true?
Yes, actually.
I have as well, and it's probably been one of the most frustrating things to hear and deal with, because
is that actually interesting?
It's not a pressure.
Why?
But
it's a turn off.
It's a turn. It can be a turn off, because it's like if you're telling me when you tell me you're too good to be true, one, that's essentially you telling me that there's something you're uneasy about, and it may not so much be it's the fact you're waiting on me to fuck up. That's what that feels like. When you say you're too good to be true.
That way before.
Oh, I haven't either.
If you're telling me you're too good to be true, the way I'm interpreting that is that you don't believe this can be like how I actually am, which tells me that you're looking for something to make it not too good to be true.
Interesting.
I can see that.
I see that, but I see it differently.
But I never saw it that way before. That's why I
No,
explained it.
I hear it.
Like, it's a compliment, but at the same time, like, it's an unnecessary pressure that you're putting on me, and you're giving yourself an out.
I don't want to put me or you in that situation on like a pedestal and sound like an ass, but I hear it in an insecurity from that person, and in some way some idolatry in this relationship. Like, I feel like you are going to always look up to me.
Idolatry. He literally
I told you
he prefaced it. He prefaced it by saying
base word, idolize, idolatry.
Ooh, with the
boom.
breakdown.
Oh, come on, go on.
Come on, educator.
We got a master's in education for nothing.
Thank you.
You okay? But no, when somebody says it, and I never heard that in a relationship, but I have heard that in talking to people, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, like, you must be too good to be true," or "Why are you single?" Or
I mean, this would be early. This would be early on in a relationship.
Yeah,
though.
why are you?
But relationship meaning like y'all are kind of together, committed.
Yeah,
I'm talking about purely talking phases. Like, when you say that to me, and I've heard that from multiple people, I'm like,
Donald be like,
and I leave.
Yeah.
I'm the Homer Simpson meme. I just
back into the bushes
because I don't. Yeah. It could be a compliment, but it's like you don't know me.
Yeah.
And now I don't want to know you.
But I think that that's an area that even when dating people and beyond the dating phase and you're in a relationship, you really don't really know these people. When do you feel like you get to really like know them? Because I know for me, I like my first real relationship. At
least 6 months minimum.
In college, we really didn't know each other for real until like it was like, okay, I don't want to say we lived together, but in college you're consistently,
You live there.
Yeah, well, I live there basically. You can say that whatever, but
So
at that point I'm like, oh, I don't really know you, bro. Like I know you now, and
things move fast in college though.
They do.
So in college, it's the proximity, and you can learn a lot about a person in less time because, like you said, you're so close, and it's the access is so easy. But I think even like, because there's still levels to knowing a person, like knowing a person on the level of knowing what they do that irritates you, and gradually becoming just slightly okay with it. That's a different level of knowing. That's a different level of knowing somebody. And I'm not saying intolerable stuff. The stuff that's like, that's really irritating as hell that you do that. And it don't affect how you feel, but it's just like, that's irritating. When you can get to a point where you can say that and then go on about your day, like, to me, that's really knowing somebody. And I don't know how many people get to that point before actually being in a relationship, but yeah.
It's a really good you said 6 months. That's crazy. I don't know what the timetable is for it, but
I mean, it depends on the person for sure.
It depends on,
to me, I feel like 6 months is like an average. Some people prefer to take it slow. Some people are very aggressive in terms of wanting to know things right away.
I can see 6 months, but in my head, I'm like, you really don't know nobody after 2 years, whatever. But really, you do know them. It's just that people change, and we are
people grow.
And on that, I really want to talk about that actually. Ooh, but we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be right back, y'all. All right, and we're back. And Donald had a rousing sentiment to add about.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say that 6 month part of like, I mean, the time changes for everything, but for me, it's damn near like a 90-day rule. Like, I know in 3 months if I want to be entertained by you moving forward, or if this is it.
You was trying to think like a man.
I'm gonna say he's gonna say that.
I know in 3 months I'm like, okay, next. But I had hit the 6 month mark, and I was just like, oh shit, I ain't did this in a minute, and then I mean, he got spooked and said, no. So things happen, but 3 months for me, and it's one direction or the other.
I'm leaving the pop culture reference out of that.
Yeah. But I feel like you definitely get to know. You can know a person in 6 months. It's just that so much can change. Like, it's kind of scary as well. Where I have conversations where people can know somebody their whole lives, and then I don't want to say they fall out of love, but marriages don't work out, a lot of times.
And I mean, that's really the point. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss in a relationship. The person that you get to know, date, whatever, at whatever age or whatever year is not the same person 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. No. Exactly. And you shouldn't want them to be, because you're not the same person either. Exactly. And I think a lot of people get stuck in loving a person how they met them, and they get trapped in that part of their mind, and then it lives on a shelf, right? Yeah. And so it collects dust. You don't do the maintenance. You don't wipe it off. You don't take the time to figure out who that person is now, because your needs are different.
That's when the intention gets lost.
And
you get eat. That's why Tasha dumbass. Didn't you see? That's why Ghost had dumbass.
Oh my God! On power. That's why he went to.
That's Angie. Not exactly what happened.
It's because of Angie. But go on.
You're right. I mean, he wanted that old thing back.
It was most definitely because of Angie. But
you have a point.
It was more so to the point that like Ghost had clearly changed, and she
and Tasha wanted.
And that's what I was going to ask you next. Was like, do you feel like in those cases then, when somebody's growing faster than the other person, that's when it's like, okay, we got
that's tough.
Or maybe it's not they're growing faster. It's just like
Nah, he was growing.
No, sometimes
faster.
Some people do grow faster than others, and if you can't acknowledge that in a healthy way,
yeah. Where do you
start? And some people grow at
though?
the same pace. They just happen to grow apart.
Yeah.
So it's just like
speaking of directionality.
That's what I was That's what I was thinking. Like, dang, because most of the people they're gonna be growing together.
You have to grow, but
they just like
stagnant people are the speed bumps of love. Okay, you have to be able to grow. You just hope that you are growing in the same direction, going towards something.
It's a lot of faith, man. Honestly, it's a lot that you kind of. It's not that you were hoping like mindlessly. There's a lot that you are like praying works out. Like if you care, there's a lot that you really want to be what you think it is, even though you're not 100% sure. And that takes a lot of like. It's faith and trust. It's trusting yourself
and communication.
You trusting yourself first and foremost, and you're trusting the other person.
Yeah.
And then actually, let me rephrase. You trusting God first, then you trusting yourself, then you trust the other person.
And I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I think a lot of people
aren't okay with that.
A lot of people get trapped in the idea like, oh, I have to make this work. Oh, I have to force this to work because of one reason or another. Go. Get the fuck out. You have to do, at the end of the day, what is best for you.
You have to.
And sometimes...
Too many people want Instagram love.
And that's it. Some people want this, oh my God, I want to take these pictures and I want to be seen by everybody. I want these likes by everybody. I want this instant gratification, not knowing that once the cameras go away, you're stuck with each other.
There's actual work that has to be done,
Imagine
bro.
being stuck in quarantine. I heard one man say this. He was like, man, I'm glad I had the wife that I have because if I was in quarantine with some of my exes,
Hey, listen, we different people, so I can't speak to now how it might have been, but listen, when you, it's one thing, like, it's similar to like when you, it's similar to when like you are when you're living with somebody and really learning them that way. But like being in a confined space and really being in somebody else's space, that's a lot of sacrifice.
Yes.
That's a lot of sacrifice. And you really got to mess with that person to let them in your space to know, like, that's why I'm like, if y'all can't chill like in different rooms at the crib, or if y'all can't be together and not be giving each other specific attention, I feel like that's problematic.
It's not healthy.
Not because that, like, there are obviously ways you can still be intimate, but it's still just like
I cannot stand.
That shouldn't need to be fed all the time.
Phelan said something really good under his breath over here. I think that
no science out for blood today, bro.
Roll that one out there.
I chose violence.
He got something to say.
Not so violence. What'd you say though? What'd you say?
I said thanks for just going I said that you don't have to be up under somebody 24/7.
That's right.
No, I cannot stand a Siamese twin of love.
I feel like after the after the social media impact relationships, I feel like a lot of our generation also just wants to be up under somebody, like you know, who does. Which is I don't know. I'm not gonna speak on it. Peyton spoke to it already.
Steven, you had a question that you wanted to.
I did. How do we?
This is special.
I said what I said.
No,
we know.
No, it's fine.
We know, but now the mental image is really
that
tickles the fuck out of me.
I could imagine.
Make some breakfast or something. No.
Babe,
no, what's messed up is I find myself doing that sometimes. Sorry, love you, P. But I be it be so, and she be laughing with me because she know I be serious. Like, yo, hey, don't come on, man. Like, I already said I love you. What you want me for? No, but in terms of I love you, I think this is a very or can be difficult thing for men specifically. So what what points have y'all seen yourselves, or do y'all feel like y'all reach when y'all are comfortable saying that? And how often have you been the first, if ever, to say it?
I probably was not the first. I've only said it with one person, and that was like I told y'all, Mac's girlfriend, but I said I love you. But I never said that I was in love with you. And for me, those two different things. So I've never been in love before. Triggered,
so I'm actually going to walk up for a second because that just fucked me up.
I don't believe that I said it first, but I did say it and I meant it. But I don't know what being in love feels like or what that switch is. So I'm going to have to tap out on this one.
What's funny is, and the reason that I feel so triggered is because that is the reason situationship ended for me is because at that point I was not the first. I'm hardly ever the person to say I love you.
Mm-hmm.
But when in that moment where I got comfortable with the idea of the word and the phrase and had let it go a couple of times, it came to the point where that concept came up of I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And at that time, being younger, that didn't register because to me, how can you have one without the other?
Yeah.
And it lit a painful fire for a little while. But then looking back on it now, being older, it makes a lot of sense. Even then, that really wasn't love. It was more of a lust relationship that shouldn't technically have been a thing. But it teaches you what love is. Like everyone says that there's this, like you have 3 different types of love in your life, right? When you're younger, you have like that. When you're younger, you have the young love, like that immature love. It just feels right. Yeah. Young love. Yeah, that shit. Okay. So you have like that immature, that immature love, where everything's just rosy and dandy, but you really don't know what it is.
Yeah.
The second love is the love that actually teaches you about you, and that's the damaging one.
Oh damn! I thought it was gonna call learning love.
Damn. I mean, technically you are learning from it, but it can cut in a way that you didn't know you could hurt and you could feel that type of pain.
Ooh, my 30s about to be rough.
Well, he said, I ain't know that yet. I ain't know that. She been having hard love.
I remember that being put through the ringer right now.
And then 3 is the healing, eternal love. And I don't mean healing like it's the love that's supposed to fix everything that's wrong with you from all these other things that you've done. But it's a love where you feel safe and you can be vulnerable because vulnerability does not come naturally to a lot of people. But being able to be in that space where you can open up and you can feel, even though you might have some apprehensions, that regardless, this person is there for you and here to support you in that growing. So in those 3 different phases, I can definitely say I've hit all 3. Might have hit one more than the other, but I've hit all 3. And for me, even though I've never necessarily been the person to say it first, when I say it, I mean it. And when I was younger, you say it because that's with the TVs and like everything's like, oh, I love you. Like it was very immature. Shut up. But but now being 26, almost 27, and literally with the fiance, there was a point where it was like, well, what is love? And you have to evaluate for yourself because you can't say I love you to somebody if you don't know what love looks like for you and what you are willing to accept and what you aren't willing to accept. Because if you just start throwing around the word and you don't really know what the core concept is for you, it's just a word without meaning and a phrase without meaning at that point. So for me, when I say it, to your question, I've always said it with the intent in more recent years that I am in love with you because I love you. And that doesn't just apply to relationships, that applies to like friendships and things. I do not have friends. Like I really don't. Friendships are probably the thing that scare me more than relationships. That's a whole other thing for a therapy couch. But every friendship that I've had that has started, I consider family. I move people out of that tier into the family tier because I understand that your family, you don't get along all the time, but at the end of the day, you still love each other. So even if I fuss or fight with my friends, at the end of the day, we're still family because I know that's just how we are. So friendship doesn't last long for me. I've always been like, oh yeah, that's my bro, that's sis. Like I have that pocket. I mean, I have friends, but it's different dynamic. But to your point, that's what love means to me. I felt like that was a therapy session. No, so answer the fucking question.
The first one in regards to like how that looked in the past in relationships, and did I say it first? I think that I've only said it twice to 2 young ladies, but the first time she definitely said it first. I don't think I really loved her, like that at the time, honestly. But I did grow to love her, and I do appreciate her, like, for everything that I learned from that relationship. I guess you can say I was in stage 2 or whatever. I guess I'm still in stage 2. I don't know. Shoot. But
find out on the next episode.
But yeah, then the second time I brought it up, and I think I initiated it, and I said it first. Yeah, but it was like, oh my gosh, you feel the same way? I feel the same way too. It was all happy. So definitely not there yet. But I was next. You learn something new every day.
Holy shit.
But realistically, from that situation too, I do feel like that was the most genuine, most pure form of love that I really felt. But learning from it is just like, okay, you can love somebody still and y'all still not be compatible, which is a whole nother conversation. Or let me not say compatible, but yeah, I guess I'll say compatible.
That's fair.
Or it just might not be meant to be. Yeah. So
same thing.
I feel like we've unpacked a lot this evening.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm unnecessarily sweating for some reason. So let's
right, and I know that's right. So we want to thank you guys for watching yet another episode of The Panel, as we have thrown ourselves into therapy and probably will be going there after this.
I got an appointment next week.
Once again,
drink after this.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to not miss another episode of The Panel. Oh my God. We will see you all next week.
Peace. Bye.